Alright, so in this video we're going to cover swapping out paths and profiles in the ElboPipe item assembly. I'm going to go to Add Item here. We've been here before, and we see the assemblies, item assemblies, MeshFusion assemblies, and ElboPipe. A quick note, I've made some MeshUp changes in the version of ElboPipe that will be coming with 11.2 Alpha 1. The way to check what version you have is to look here in the item list. Don't worry about the preset browser, but in the item list, if the folder is named Alpha 0, we'll need to make some changes if you want to take full advantage of some of the options shown later in this video. If you'd like to make those changes, open up the ElboPipe Alpha 0 folder, go to the ElboPipe MeshUp, and go to MeshOps. Open up this folder, and the changes we want to make are in pin extrude and curve extrude. So in both cases, we want to make sure that we have our selection type set to polygon, not to edge, to polygon. Just turned our profile inside out here. We'll take care of that in a second. Don't worry about that. So we've set pin extrude to polygon, and curve extrude, we need to look at the sweep effector V-tab here, and same thing, we change it from edge to polygon. We're not using curve extrude right now, but when we do, we want that set to polygon as well. Next, this red item, elbow profile poly delete, that becomes unnecessary because of these changes, and in fact will create problems. So we want to simply turn that off. There are special cases where that might be useful, so we won't throw it out, but generally you'll just leave that off from now on. And the last thing we'll do is click on this locator here. That's it's actually the Elbo UI locator, also available in the item list. And we will turn on this extrude profile flip, and it gets our profile back facing the right direction. It's just different with polygons than it is with edges. So again, from now on, you'll probably almost always have this checked. And that's it for the changes. Now let's get down to swapping paths and profiles. So swapping paths is easy. I've set up a simple little scene here just for fun. I created this new polyline by snapping it to the vertices of this cube and then shrinking the cube down, so we'll have a pipe floating just above the surface of the cube. But again, naturally your polyline can be whatever you like. We have our original ElboPipe here still attached to its default 7-point line. So we will open up ElboPath, one of our two assembly items here. Go to MeshOps, open that up, and down at the bottom we see ElboPath MM, which stands for Merge Mesh. And we go to Sources, and we see that 7-point line. Hit the little swap button, and here's my new path called Pipe Path. Just double click on that, and our pipe now follows that polyline. As seen in the first intro video, you, of course, are now free to edit that polyline any way you like using any of Modo's tools. And remember that any place you add a vertex along that polyline, you will get the elbow geometry. And swapping profiles is also straightforward, but we have a few more options. So here I've brought in a little simple 4-quad plane that I'm going to use as a profile. It's called plane here in the item list. And this time we're going to go to ElboPipe, MeshOps, open that up, and we see here down at the bottom 3 items: custom profile merge mesh, end-sided profile, and cylinder profile, which is the default profile, and you see that it is on and the other 2 are off. These are mutually exclusive. You should only use one at a time. And we are going to switch to custom profile. So I'm going to turn off cylinder profile and our pipe goes away. Turn on custom profile, open that up, go to sources, add sources, and of course you could swap if you already had something in here, and I'm going to choose plane. So now we have this rectangular profile. And you notice that it is indeed a rectangular polygonal profile. It's no longer a P-sub surface. If you brought this into MeshFusion, of course, MeshFusion would interpret it as a P-sub surface, or maybe you just want a P-sub surface. And the way you can do that is go to the source mesh and simply turn it into a P-sub surface by toggling Catmull-Clark subdivision on. You won't see any changes to the profile because Modo sets the boundary rules of Catmull-Clark surfaces by default to crease all, but you will see the rounded edges in the pipe geometry, and also that's the same geometry you will see if you use this as a MeshFusion source mesh. As usual with most of the merge mesh operations we set up with these assemblies, it's set up so that it doesn't matter where you move this profile, your profile template, so to speak, in 3-space, or even if you scaled it at the item level, it wouldn't change. Any changes you want to make should be made at the element level. So for example, we could select some vertices and scale them. And now see that our profile is becoming tapered. And it's worth noting that this could be an n-gon, this could be a single polygon, an n-gon, but for MeshFusion purposes and just in general, it's nicer when it's possible to use an all-quad mesh for your profile because that gives you an all-quad result with your extrusion, your pipe extrude, which means you have more control over controlling fusion subdivs when you get it into MeshFusion. And it also just creates kind of cleaner caps in general with a P-sub surface. So when you can use quads, go ahead and use them. If you need an n-gon, if you absolutely need an n-gon, that's fine too. But other than that, things are really flexible with these polygonal profiles. For example, I could take a couple of these polygons, I'm going to cut them, of course it goes away, paste them back in. A little confused right now because they match up there, but let me just move them a bit. Now we have a split profile. And you can go pretty crazy with something like that if you like. That's all one profile there. And of course, they all share the same path. Nonetheless, kind of a cool effect with these multi-polygon profiles. All right, that's about it for this one. See you next time.